Hey guys, Shao Andy here. Well, I recorded like about a 60-ish minute video of me just rambling to the camera like in the good old days about, why I've been away for 2 months. It was a really fucking heartfelt video. Like, I was really pouring my heart out for you guys, talking about, how I've been in the past few months. Like reflecting about a lot of stuff, like reflecting about how important Undertale is as a game to me, because that was something that was on my mind. Just all this different stuff, and then YouTube up and decided to crash on me and just, delete all the footage too. Like, I would have been fine if the fucking app crashed, but it would, like, if the recording stopped, but I could still upload the video. But no, the recording itself was deleted too, so that's great. Fuck. I mean, I could give an abridged version of what I said in the video, but I don't really feel like I don't want to. I feel like that would be disingenuous. It wouldn't feel very good to just, give a TLDR of something that heartfelt that I said. Ugh. But I mean, I gotta get a video out now that I spent like literally an hour talking. So like, I guess I can run down the bullet points of what I said, because I'm fucking pissed about this. I guess, long story short, I'm on winter break right now. It's going to last until January 12th or so I'm going to try to do some stuff on the channel since then, because not doing stuff on the channel really sucked the past couple months. I really am not happy about the fact that I haven't been doing it on the channel. It really, has left an impact on me. I think, it really has felt like, it sucked not, using the channel because of, anxiety-related reasons, and also because academic pressure and, lack of time and lack of motivation and stuff. But now that I'm on break and I can enjoy the break, I'm going to try to, make use of this channel more, and hopefully you guys can enjoy that. As for what I want to do over the break, I wanted to record potentially a cover of The Legend from Deltarune as potentially a 2,000 subscriber special, but maybe not, I'm not sure. I also want to stream myself completing Celeste Chapter 7 at some point, and also stream myself writing some more comments in the Deltarune OST, continuing my sort of comment quest about that, and those are the main things I want to get out of the way. Maybe stream some new games, but I'm not sure. That's kind of the stuff I want to do. Other stuff that I was saying, I really don't want to give up a bridge version of something like this, but maybe it's good that the app crashed, because now you guys don't have to sit through 60 minutes and you can just get the quick version. But other stuff I was saying, just a bit of a status update on me in general. I've been dealing with a lot of anxiety-related stuff. I think I've mentioned this before in previous streams and stuff, but I've been dealing with anxiety ever since I got back from China. But I definitely feel like I've started feeling better, at least better than I did at the beginning of this year, when I was really suffering from anxiety. And I started feeling better because I've sought out a therapist that I meet with every week, or at least I would be if I was still in college. I mean, she's located like near campus, so I mean, I'm not visiting her over winter break, but I've been visiting a therapist. I've been taking medication, anxiety medication. I've been writing my thoughts in a journal to help myself as well. I've been using a meditation app called Headspace, which is it's a paid subscription, but I think it's worth it. And the reason why I felt like giving the status update in the original video that got deleted was that I felt like I kind of wanted to tell you guys, just give you guys a status update. I feel like I would have felt disingenuous if I just uploaded a video without mentioning that, because I feel like it's something that should be shared with my audience, that they should know just going forward. There's other stuff that I was going to say, but I didn't. And I sort of alluded to the fact that I was going to potentially spill more beans, quote unquote, in maybe like a later stream or something, but not right now, because I'm back in late. Other stuff. I also said another reason why I decided to say all that in the first place was just that I wanted to convey to anyone who's maybe watching this. It's going to be a lot less helpful now since I had this whole thing about it in the original video. But I basically wanted to say that, like, you know, obviously I can't speak for anybody else's situation, but definitely feel like if there's anyone who's watching this who, you know, was in a similar position, is in a similar position that I was in the beginning of this year, of this college year, this school year, where I literally felt like I was having trouble getting through day by day and just fighting anxieties, you know, tooth and nail every second. It definitely does help to, you know, try to, you know, find resources that can help you. You know, there's, you know, I would bank on the fact that, you know, no matter who you are and what situation there's at least somewhere something that you can turn to for assistance if you feel like you need it. Like, I'm sure if you go to school, you could go to like a counselor's office. I'm sure, yeah, it might not sound very helpful. Like, me going to the counseling services on campus, I didn't have too many high hopes, but it did end up helping. They hooked me up with a therapist that has been very helpful, and yeah, you know, people always say mental health is important, but I say take it a step further. Mental health is important, and it's also important to take steps to work on your mental health. Like, that probably is obvious, but I feel like it needs to be said. Like, mental health is important, and also logically following from that, it's important to do stuff about it. Like, you know, like, to seek help and, you know, try to do stuff for yourself if you can. And that's kind of just the message I wanted to relay based on my own experience. And hopefully maybe it'll help some of it. I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that. What else did I talk about? The video, what else did I talk about? I talked a lot about deltarune and Undertale, just the impact they had on my life, because that was something that was on my mind as well that I wanted to say and just sort of ramble and discuss about. I was talking about how, you know, just a lot of stuff about, like, how, you know, how I do apologize for the fact that I've been away for 2 months. I mean, I don't know how much of people really are bothered about it. Like, I don't know if anyone was, like, you know, tearing their hair out, like, oh no, Andy Shao isn't streaming anymore, Shao Andy isn't streaming anymore, or, like, uploading videos anymore. But, like, whatever the case, like, I do regret not streaming more and not doing more in the recent months. So hopefully I can, you know, remedy that going forward. It definitely does feel nice doing stuff like this where I just, you know, sit down and talk to a camera and, you know, share my thoughts with my YouTube audience. I'm going to be uploading this one, obviously. Yeah, it's really nice. There's something very, very therapeutic and just very comforting about the fact that I can just talk about stuff, and there will be people who probably will listen. It's a really comforting thing to think about. But yeah, talked about that. What else? Yeah, this is like the Cliff Notes version of what I was saying. But I was talking about, like, what it was like being in college, a bit of an update on that. I've joined more clubs, met new people, kind of out of necessity, because, like, the reason why I joined more clubs is because I wanted to surround myself with more people so I wouldn't be as anxious, which might seem paradoxical to some people, but at least in my case, being around more people helped combat my anxiety. So whatever the reason, even if the reason was a bit unfortunate, I have, you know, broadened my social circle at college, which is nice. I feel like you guys should know that I'm in the tabletop club and the esports club and you know, stuff like that. I really met some cool people. Those kinds of updates. A lot of very sort of rambly sort of discussions about, like, all sorts of things. Don't really need to bring it up again. Then I was just talking about how Undertale is, like, super important to me, and deltarune is also important to me. And I guess I can go back to talking about that a little bit, because, I mean, I do feel like I should probably wrap up this video soon. I don't think I should talk too much longer, because I do need to sleep. And I don't want this thing to crash on me again. I think it only crashes if I record more than about 70 minutes of content, which, I mean, the more you know, I guess. I mean, it sucks that I had to learn the hard way twice, but, like, because the YouTube obviously crashed before while I was recording, and it was also around, like, 70 minutes, which would be a really big bummer, but, yeah, hopefully I don't sound like a crazy person. I'm trying to run through all the stuff that I said really quickly. But yeah, deltarune. Like the reason why I was going to talk about why deltarune is important to me was because I talked about this on Twitter. I re-listened to the Undertale OST, the Deltarune. I listened to the Deltarune OST all the way through for the first time in a long time, first time ever. About a week ago, or about 2 weeks ago, maybe at this point. And it made me reminded me just how much I love Undertale and how much I love Deltarune, how important those two games were to me, especially Undertale. But I talked about how Deltarune, it let me meet so many new people. Let me start this YouTube channel. Shaped my outlook on life. That's a bit drastic, but it shaped a lot of my views on other people, forgiving other people. Like my views about like hope and holding out hope in dangerous and difficult situations. How much I love just the characters, the gameplay, just the game, everything about the game, the experience. How much I loved it, how much it changed my life. Talked about that. But yeah, I guess the one thing I didn't talk about before the camera ran out of battery was how important Deltarune is to me, which again, I don't really want to go into too much detail because, again, I want to end this video. Like, I've been talking for like an hour and a half straight at this point, and it's dumb. Like, that the original video got deleted, but whatever. The original video like is completely gone now, but like, who cares? I think, this is I guess now I'm going to stop going into motor mouth mode and go back to sincere, genuine mode, because I think, and this isn't going to feel as genuine or make as much sense as it would without all the stuff that I said beforehand behind it. Like, if you heard my full sort of speech about the struggles I've been having with anxiety and also how important Deltarune is, how important Undertale is to me as a person, this would make a lot more sense, but what can I do? I think that one of the reasons why Deltarune has hit me so hard and why it's been so important to me is that this is kind of a realization that I came to relatively recently, actually. Like, I played Deltarune, enjoyed it, was emotionally affected by it, seeing all, like Alphys and Undyne, all these characters on the surface, living their lives. That fucking bombshell of an ending with Chara, like ripping out the character's soul. It was all fucking wild. It blew me away, and I left some comments, and I kind of stopped. I didn't really engage the community anymore. I listened to remixes. I looked at a couple pieces of fan art every so often, but I kind of put it in the same category as like, I don't know, what's a game that had like a similar sort of impact on me. I don't know, but it didn't stick as much as Undertale. It didn't affect me as much. Even not discounting the fact that I didn't really meet anybody new because of Deltarune, which to be expected. Who new could you meet from Deltarune that you hadn't already met from Undertale? But like, I didn't really meet any new people from it. But also, like, it didn't really stick with me as much. Like, it was a game that I played, I enjoyed, and then I moved on. Like, and I just kept going with my life. And I think a big reason for that is just the fact that, like, a big reason obviously is that it's not a full game. Like, it's a demo. It's chapter 1, so like, what are you expecting? But I think a big reason, I think another reason why it didn't hit me as much at first is because I didn't really understand. It wasn't until recently that the emotional impact of it really hit me, and like, it really, sort of dawned on me, at least me personally, while it sank in. The only reason it sank in for me personally why this game, is so relevant and why it is so emotional, why I now realize it's so important to me, and why it's done so much, like, not done so much, but like, why it's so relevant and important, especially in this current sort of day and age and in this stage in my life, why Deltarune is important and why I should care. And the reason that I sort of came to is just that I kind of felt like something that's been coming up a lot recently. I think my fucking debit card just fell out of my pocket. Fuck. It's somewhere on the ground right now. Hold on. Something that's really been, a concern for me in the past few weeks. Well, not even the past few weeks. ever since I got back from China, really, and all this anxiety shit has sprung up, is just this general idea, this general fear that I'm no longer the person that I used to be, that I've changed for the worse, that I'm not the same Andy Shallows that I was, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, or back when I was in elementary school or middle school, or even back when I was making, Pianolovania or like old videos like that. That I'm fundamentally different, and that not only that I've changed and that I'm no longer the same person, but also just that the world has changed. And I mean, I guess maybe China isn't the blame for this one, but it just, in general, it has really felt like recently a lot that things have become a lot more dour in the world. Like things have become a lot more unfortunate, and just pessimistic and cynical and bad. Like it makes me feel like stuff just, again, you hear a lot that like it's not that the world has only recently gotten bad, it's just that you're more aware of it now that you're older. Like when you were a kid, you weren't aware of these things, so obviously even if they still happened back then, you wouldn't be aware of them because you're a kid. But even that, confounding variable in mind, it still does feel like, especially maybe it's just, the media deciding to focus on bad things more than good things, or maybe things are just getting worse. You hear about this and this horrible thing day after day, shootings and like racial sort of like fucking rise of like supremacist groups and like hate just being spread everywhere, and you get this, at least I get this feeling that like things kind of suck. I get that feeling a lot, that things are just bad, and like this definitely, as well as this feeling that I want to go back to the the good old days, quote unquote, back when things were simpler, back when I was okay, back when things were okay, back when I didn't have to worry about all this stuff, and that sort of just longing for days past, because you feel like the current reality, the current situation is worse, and that things have gotten bad, and that things can't go back to the way they were. That sort of just very specific brand of sadness and just frustration is something that's really been plaguing me for the past few months. And I think something really important that I realized about a week ago or a week or two ago, when I was just eating lunch and thinking about things, because like I was just thinking like deltarune kind of addresses that. Like it might just be me projecting my own sort of worries and thoughts onto it, but it really does feel like deltarune kind of there was just moments of clarity where I was just like, that's one of the things that deltarune's about. Like deltarune at its core is about like Dark World and everything, Dark World adventure aside. Deltarune is about our old sort of friends, these characters that we've grown to love, Alphys, Undyne, Mettaton. Maybe not at its core, but one of the main facets of deltarune is just these characters that we've grown to love, Alphys, Undyne, Mettaton, Papyrus, Sans, etc., etc. All these characters we've grown to love, just finding themselves on the surface, the thing that they've strived for all throughout Undertale, and yet still being kind of unsatisfied. They're kind of sad. This is something that my friend pointed out about the game that really made me sad at first, really hurt to hear. Like the fact that all these characters that we've grown to love, they've achieved what they wanted to in the original game. They're on the surface, they're free, and yet none of them are really happy. Like Mettaton's a shut-in who's like clearly not very confident in himself. If you like talk to him multiple times, he says something like he doesn't want to leave the house or something. Alphys and Undyne, they aren't dating. They never even met each other. Toril and Asgore are divorced. Asgore definitely has this very sort of like very sad vibe to him. He's living alone in his flower shop. Asriel's off to college. There's just this very, very specific sort of melancholy that pervades the entire last bit of the game where you're walking around the town talking to everyone. Like, It's all these characters you've grown to love, and they've all, progressed in their lives, but there's still stuff that worries that troubles them and irks them, and they don't feel fulfilled, and that really hurt at first, and they really left me like, damn. I'm so happy seeing these characters again, but at the same time, really, come on, Toby, you couldn't have, this is how you bring these characters back to us? What are you trying to say here? Are you just trying to say that everything sucks? Are you trying to reconfirm to me that everything sucks? Really, come on, man. It kind of made me think, maybe that's not what Toby's saying with that, I think there's a certain sense of dread that deltarune sort of brings with it. There's a certain unease and tension and just sort of anxiety that deltarune brings, especially with that, with the amount of unresolved questions that it brings, and just, who is the knight? Is Rousey trustworthy? Or is he just, is the Dark World a simulation? What is the Dark World? How does this relate to Undertale? Who is Jevil? Who, is Gaster involved, etc. And all these mysterious questions. The very creepy, intro sequence where, Gaster or someone, talks to you and, has you create a character. The very first, establishing shot of the very first introduction to Deltarune, Undertale's introduction is a very storybook, picturesque, you have this very cozy sort of 8-bit song playing as you get this very storybook, fable, opening. Sets the tone of the game very nicely. Deltarune's opening is creepy ass droning playing as an all caps voice tells you to make a vessel, as all the while telling you that your choices don't matter. It's a very, very, very stark contrast, and it's very, very creepy and scary, and especially with that fucking bombshell of an ending of Chara ripping out the player character's soul. I can't think about Deltarune without getting a very Deltarune, one of the a prime facet of the Deltarune experience and what Deltarune embodies is unease. I think just that feeling of anxiety and creeping dread. It's a scary game just to think about and ponder about, at least in its current state. And you can't really say that about Undertale. There are parts of Undertale that are scary, but it's not as a whole, Genocide Run, discounting the Genocide Run, it's an uplifting, powerful, empowering, positive game, and a hope-filled game. But on Deltarune, it doesn't feel like that. It feels especially with that ending where they just drop it on you that maybe everyone in this town is fucking dead and there's nothing you can do about it, and they have this creepy ass song. I think that Don't Forget as a song is fucking creepy. Maybe I'm alone in that. Maybe I'm in the minority about this. I definitely at first I thought that it was a very nice, pleasant sounding song, but once my friend pointed out how it could potentially, the potential implications of it, I found it super creepy, and I can't listen to it without getting chills because how fucking creepy it is. Especially with that ending and with the last song you hear before the game shuts itself off, it really does just give you this feeling of at least for me, when I was in the prime height of my sad boy hours, not saying that I'm magically healed from them, I'm still struggling, but I remember after listening to the Deltarune OST all the way through, I ended up a couple days later I ended up sort of falling into another sort of episode of anxiety where it just felt I couldn't do anything and things sucked, and I just I was just lying there thinking God, what the fuck, Deltarune? Great game. You take these characters that I love and you show me how depressed they are living out their. You show me how depressed they are in the situation where they should be happy, and you just leave it even you think that everything is fucked. Great, awesome. I was just really upset. But then as I was just eating lunch one day, I just thought to a couple days after, I started thinking to myself that's not. If that is the message of Deltarune, if that was the intent, if that was one of the things that Toby was conveying, that wasn't the intention for Toby to say that. Yes, things have changed and you have changed and things suck and everything's hopeless. He's not saying that. What he's saying by showing us these characters is that he's showing us that we're not alone in that. I'm sure. I can't say for sure, but I feel like I'm not alone in that sense that things have changed. That in that fear that so much has changed in the past few years. That those worries that am I the same person as I used to be? You know, have things changed for the worse? You know, I've gone, you know, in the past couple of years, so much has changed. You know, I've gone to college, started that entirely new phase of my life. You know, I even just like a year and a half ago, the thought of going to college was fucking horrifying to me. I was so scared of it, and now here I am, you know, a sophomore in college trying to figure out what my major is. You know, things have changed, and you know, life is like, I've, you know, progressed in life, quote unquote. I've gotten farther in my life. I've had more experiences, met new people, matured, I guess, you know, like learned more about the world. But, you know, I still, like, there's still a sense of sadness and unease associated with it. Like, it's, again, that anxiety that accompanies, like, you know, has college, you know, sapped me of who I am? Am I no longer Andy Shao? All that stuff. But what Deltarune is showing us by showing all these by showing Alphys and Undyne and Mettaton and Toriel and Asgore and Papyrus and Sans on the surface still struggling, isn't that, you know, yeah, fuck you guy, like, yeah, fuck you guy, like, things do suck, and you know, check it out, your favorite characters are struggling too. It's not like, I don't even know why I interpret it that way. The message that's being shown there is that if you're going through that, if that's something you're struggling with, if that's something that's causing you distress, this feeling that, you know, I should be happy, or like, A, I should be happy because, you know, all these changes in my life, or B, all these changes are happening in my life and I'm not sure if I'm happy with them and if I'm okay with them. Toby is showing us we're not alone. Like, we're not alone in that. There are so many people out there who are feeling the same thing, that exact same sensation, and even like he's showing us that isn't abnormal. Like, that's okay to feel like that. Maybe that wasn't his intention, but that's the message. That's the takeaway that I've gotten from Deltarune, especially in light of recent events and, you know, my recent, you know, the recent sort of situations I found myself in, and, you know, how I've been in the past few months. It just, like, you look at Alphys and Undyne on the surface, how, you know, they're not dating. You look at how Mettaton's a shut-in. You look at how Sans is, you know, like, well, I guess Sans isn't a good example. Asgore is just sitting in his flower shop, and it's like, instead of feeling like depressed about it, it's like, because again, this is just chapter 1. I mean, who knows? Maybe by the end of the game, they're going to become happier, and, you know, you're going to help them find fulfillment. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a depressing, sad ending, but I can't tell for sure yet. All I know is that seeing those characters on the surface, it's like, literally, like, they're on the surface and, you know, feeling unfulfilled and unsatisfied and sad about things. They're on the surface, you know, having made a big step in their lives, achieving a big goal in their lives, which the huge goal in their lives, which is to make it to the surface. I've gone to college, which is a huge part of my life, which is a huge step forward in my life, but I'm also having reservations and doubts and, you know, concerns and anxieties and worries, and just seeing that those characters are also, you know, struggling just like me. They're pixels on a screen, they're not real, but that gives me just the amount of hope and just the comfort that brought when I realized what their struggles meant. The fact that I don't have to be alone in that sensation that things have changed, but, you know, that things have changed, and I don't know if you know, if things are better or worse for it. The fact that I am not alone in that Toby Fox, through that game, through Deltarune, is kind of showing me, yes, that's normal to have that sort of reservation. You're not crazy, you know, it's okay. Like, that really hit me hard, and that, I think, more than anything, is what Deltarune sort of, what the takeaway of Deltarune more than a year later is for me. Like, and like the whole thing about like the unease and like the anxiety and this tension and the scariness of like Chara ripping their heart out and ripping out their soul and stuff. You want to know what number one thing that made me cry when listening to the Deltarune OST? The fact that the last track in the game isn't Don't Forget. It isn't this creepy ass song that could potentially be sung by Chara themselves. It isn't, you know, this vaguely threatening, ominous song that closes out the game right after you see something truly horrifying and chilling. It's not that. It's a song called Before the Story, which is the menu music and features just this beautifully melancholic reprise of Undertale, of the Once Upon a Time leitmotif, just the somber piano notes that we've all grown to love, like dun dun dun, and just that visual of, you know, in my head, the menu screen, those sound effects that I've grown to love, the beep beep beep, you know, the beep beep of like choosing stuff on the fucking menu, of the red heart of Susie and Rousey and Chris staring out at the dark fountain, the blues and the blacks, and, you know, the cool colors, and just the title before the story. You know what that's referring to, right? It's referring to Undertale. Undertale was before the story of Deltarune, maybe not chronologically or like in universe, but you know, in real life, before the story. That's referring to Undertale. The Deltarune OST ends not with the vague, chilling premonition that might spell doom for the rest of the Deltarune universe. It doesn't end with this sort of gloom, doom, we're all screwed message. It ends with this beautiful reminder of what came before, of this wonderful, life-changing, amazing, unforgettable experience that we all had as members of the Undertale community. This thing that changed our lives. That's what Toby Fox ended the goddamn OST with. Not with a message saying that everything sucked, but with the message, but he showed us that things do suck, but then decided to end it with something beautiful and something that reminds us of a game, of an experience that is all about hope and all about love and all about just things being okay, and just something that just changed all of our lives for the better, I'm sure. I mean, I can't speak for all of us, but at least for me. That's why listening to that's where the waterworks started. Like, just the fact that I thought that Deltarune was like just another in a long string of media that just showed how the world sucks and how everything sucks and how we're all, you know, everything's changing for the worse, but it's not. It might seem like it, but it's not. It's, at the end of the day, there's hope, and at the end of this hope, and you're not alone in your struggles. That's what Deltarune taught me. That's what I'm taking away from it. Whether it was intended or not, that's what I've learned from it. And I'm going to elaborate more on that in the Deltarune comment streams, but more than anything, I guess that's, along with announcements about my channel and stuff, that's, I guess, what I wanted to say. Yeah, I hope I didn't, like, weird anybody out with how enthusiastic I was being about a video game, but yeah, like, I wanted to talk about that. I'd wanted to talk about that for a little while, and yeah. Trying to find my credit card. It fell out of my pocket somewhere, but yeah, I think I can end the video now. I'm parked in front of my house. I hope this video didn't feel too disjointed and like difficult to follow. That's kind of what happens when the original 70 minutes of it was deleted because the YouTube app sucks. But whatever the case, I hope this is good enough as like sort of a return to form for me. It'll be the first video that I've uploaded in like 2 months, and I hope it's one that you guys enjoy. Hope you guys appreciate my thoughts on Deltarune as a game, and just, it'll be nice to be back for a few weeks, and hopefully even more longer after that. I missed you guys. I really did. I missed talking to a camera. I missed talking to an audience. I missed streaming. I missed piano covers. And we'll get down to business soon. I'll see you guys later.